Now, if you knew that's what we were, that we're all one, that we're all expressions of each other, we're just different perceptual states of the same consciousness.
Look at all these different ways that people perceive, and so many of them are the same if you break them down, then they're going to create that world. So the world that we live in is the world that we're collectively projecting. The thing is that if you look at the world, it is a collective projection of the collective state of human consciousness. That's what it is. It's not something external to us. It's a projection of us. This other world knows that. It knows that if it can program your perceptions, particularly collective perception, it will not only dictate your behavior, it will create a projection of those perceptions that we call human society. So if you have perceptions of division, of conflict, of wanting to impose your will on others, and others have a perception that they have to acquiesce to that imposition, then you get the world we live in now. You have a world that's on the face of it not just, not fair, because humans have perceived that they have to accept that it's not just and fair. So they acquiesce to that. So that's the world we have. If you want to impose your will on other people and you want to climb the greasy pole in whichever area you're on at the cost of other people, then you have the dog-eat-dog world. Look at all these different ways that people perceive, and so many of them are the same if you break them down, then they're going to create that world. So the world that we live in is the world that we're collectively projecting. When you open your heart, re-evaluate your self-identity, your perceptions dramatically change. They dramatically change.
We are different points of attention within a infinite stream of consciousness. That's who we are. You are an expression of the same stream of consciousness that I'm an expression of. You are looking at life and reality from a slightly different angle, and others will be looking at life from a very different angle, but they are the same consciousness. And we are experiencing a almost infinitesimally small, short experience in what is called a human. So what is a human? A human is a way of processing information. So the human body, the human brain, the human genetic system processes information in a certain way, and we call that human. And when we reach that point that we call death, the consciousness that's experiencing that and having these series of experiences we call human, then withdraws from the body, I call it biological computer, which processes information in a certain way. And that's why near-death experiences, in there now millions, describe that when they leave the body, when the body dies, reality is completely different to what it is as a human. What the body does is focus our attention in a band of frequency, and that band of frequency is absolutely tiny. According to mainstream science, the electromagnetic spectrum is 0.005% of what exists in the universe. Some say it's a bit more, but not much. The visible light, which is the only band of frequency that we can perceive as a reality, is a smear of the 0.005%. And this is the body and the brain focusing our attention on this particular band of frequency. When we leave the body, people now have reported these near-death experiences. When they leave the body, they're not still Bill driving a bus. They're not Ethel on the checkout. Their expansive consciousness which, as they describe, they can experience past, present, future, all in the same moment, and they undergo this massive expansion of consciousness. Why? Because they've left the body, which is focusing the attention of that consciousness within this narrow band of frequency.
There is a strong undercurrent in our country of individuals in our government particularly that know the seriousness of this topic. And what I've said before is this is not a topic that is similar to, let's say, fine French wine, where the longer you keep a cork on it, the better it gets. This is a conversation rather more like spoiled vegetables in the refrigerator. And the longer you leave it there, the more it is going to smell. And so we should probably begin to address this issue sooner rather than later, because whether or not these are real, that's no longer up for debate. This is a fact. We're here, folks. The question is, what is it? Where is it from? What is its intent? And what can or should we be doing about it?
So supposing these are of non-human origin, do you think these are like drones, remotely controlled? Or do you think there's something piloting them?
Well, they're certainly intelligently controlled, as we saw with Dave Fravor and other examples I can't discuss here, where they are reacting to our action. So there is a stimulus and there is certainly a response. So this isn't some sort of random atmospheric anomaly or something like that. They are intelligently controlled. The question is, what and who is controlling them? And that is precisely what we are trying to figure out today. There have been moments in our species, paradigm moments. In our lifetime, not so much, but as a species, it happens quite a bit. There are these paradigm moments that push the evolution of our species, mankind. The first one, perhaps, is when we came out of the cave and we looked at the stars and we realized our universe, our world just got a lot bigger. The second time, perhaps, was when two stones were struck together, created a spark, and all of a sudden we began to illuminate the darkness around us. The third time was probably when a couple folks, probably like us, were standing on a beach and someone said, you know what, I'm going to sail over the horizon. And of course people said, no, you don't want to do that, the earth is flat and there's sea monsters out there. And of course now we kind of chuckle and look back and laugh about it. But in reality, you know what, there really are sea monsters. They're just called great white sharks and blue whales and the great squid of the Pacific. And we realize that they're not really sea monsters. They're just part of nature. They're part of our reality. They're part of our paradigm. And so perhaps this topic, maybe we're just standing at the precipice of yet another paradigm moment for our species. Maybe this is just another beach and we're looking over yet another horizon.